Hi, my name is Daz. I'm the producer of The Drift, and today I'm going to sort of talk a bit about sound. I've done it before, but it's worth sort of mentioning again, and certainly in terms of what I'm doing with the sound. Working really hard on generating sort of sound effects and stuff, and over the years, having sort of played around with sound, even before I was making movies, I've sort of amassed quite a large sort of collection of stuff. And even despite that, huge collection of must be 30 to 40,000 different sound effects. It's not enough, or rather, it's perhaps not specific enough. And although I've been sort of pushing sound effects together and mixing them up and slowing them down, speeding them up, adding bits, doing balance levels, all that kind of thing, sometimes it's easy just to make the sound you're trying to get. And only recently have I been starting to do that, which is a bit weird, really, because for someone who's apparently been playing with sounds longer than he's been playing with videos, I haven't really been recording my own sounds or sort of Foley for a very long time. Until sort of recently, when I got myself one of these, which is basically a sound recorder. And it might sound a bit noddy, really, I suppose. You need to get one of these to record your sounds. But I have to be honest, up until now, I haven't really realised just how easy it is. You simply you put your card in, you point it towards the sound and record and put it in your computer. Oh yeah, okay, Daz. It really is that simple. But moving on from there, it's okay. So that's being a little bit blasé about it. I think what I'm really trying to say is that a lot of the sounds that I'm trying to produce in the film, some simple stuff. For example, today I'm filming a struggle, funny old thing, where someone is holding somebody else, and they're both in sort of military gear. And I'm going online trying to find sort of clothing movements, all that type of stuff. And what I did in the end was, well, why did I just do it myself? And I just didn't have the confidence, I suppose, perhaps the confidence in this. To be able to record it. Every time I sort of go online, look at videos about Foley and stuff, they're in the studio and they're watching everything, and it's all perfectly in time and that. And yes, of course, in the big wide world, when you've got a year to do just Foley, nothing else, and not make the rest of your film, then that's cool. But I've actually had a go today in here, and for example, this sort of struggle. Basically, I got this bag, and I found these keys, and I sort of put them together, just held like that, and then sort of watched the film, and then just as the film was, the scene was moving, just started moving the stuff, and then obviously having this recording sort of in the background, sort of, Now I'm just making this up, right now. But that was it. That is all I did. And then I had to have a bit where someone was actually, that was quite a good sound. Where someone was sort of hitting a space helmet, So I was thinking, how am I going to do that? Metal? Where am I going to find metal from? And then I looked at my computers. I just started hitting the side of the computer quite gently. And that was fantastic. I just put those sounds into the computer, and then you still have to manipulate those sounds. So you still have to, speed them up, slow them down, add other sounds to it to make it work. And you kind of do the sound. You're watching the film, as it were, to get a rough idea of how it's going to work. But it's having this device, having a sound recorder. I'm not saying you've got to buy this particular brand or whatever, and being able to put it on a card and straight into your computer, a format that is great quality. And I think that's the other thing, because in the past, we used to record sounds on tapes and mini discs and things, which I still have, but the transfer was never easy. Whereas now, it is literally, I'm in my studio making noises and putting it into the edit, and that's making a massive difference. That's really good. So I just thought, I sort of mentioned, that's what I'm doing at the moment. Obviously, it's an hour and 45 minutes of sound. That's a lot to do, but we're getting there. And with this little device, things are moving forward really, really nicely and very sort of specific to the film, rather than just creating a sort of wild track of sort of non-specific sound. So it's good. On the visual effects side, we're getting to a point now where, the Drift is done, is built. We've now got like a sort of a routine. Of things in terms of what we need to do for each visual effect, and the word or the two words, word sign off is something that's coming up a lot now. We just sign stuff off. So John has done, I would say, about 85 to 90% of all the visual effects in terms of pre-visuals, and I need to sign them off to say I'm happy with that angle, the camera motion and the motion within the CGI. That's signed off. Then the next thing is then to do a sort of visual of a frame that's fully rendered. So am I looking at textures, looking at the lighting, looking at the fog and the smoke and any other effects that are in it. Then that's signed off. So I've signed off the motion from the pre-visual, and now I've signed off the lighting and the look. I've signed those two things off. And once that's done, we can then push that into for rendering. And the other thing that's moving forward really nicely at the moment in terms of getting things ready is the compositing. So, for example, that CGI that I just talked about, that also might be part of a bigger visual effect. Say, for example, we're inside a spaceship and we're looking outside the window. Then what we're looking outside the window is that CGI. Then, of course, we've got the chroma key inside, and there might be some lights and stuff inside the ship as well. So all those layers then need to be prepared and signed off by me, ultimately. So Helen will probably do this first. She'll sign it off and say she's content. I'll look at it and say I'm content from a director point of view. I've already signed off the CGI on the outside, so we've got all the different layers, and then we need to turn that into like a package, a bit like we did with the chroma keying. And then as a package, we then have that ready to give to a compositor, and that's the person who's basically going to take all of those layers and make it like one lovely layer. So it's oh, that'll be my bread that's ready. Excellent. Everything's happening great today. Cool. Anyway, so the next thing is to push those composites, whatever, those packages out in an order that is both good in terms of look and feel. So you want to give somebody, you want to give us, say, one scene or one sequence, the same person or the same group of people, just those things to worry about, and in a completely different place, you want perhaps another set or to work on that at a different time. So we have to prioritise or group those, and the next thing is complexity. So some shots will have less effects than others, and again, or there might be shorter shots or longer shots. So we need to then start looking at, do we give one person one shot that takes ages, or we give lots of little shots and then worry about the big ones more closer to home, where we've got more sort of feedback. So that is all going to start happening in terms of finalising that plan, sort of the next week or so. So we're going to have a big sort of get together with the guys and plan that output. And the last sort of piece in the puzzle with that, or arguably it's possibly the first piece, is to basically list every single effect in the movie. Now you might think, well, haven't you already done that? Well, we have, but since that was done, the film's got a bit shorter, or we've trimmed things, or we've added new shots, and we're at picture lock now, so which is a big thing. I should really mention that, shouldn't I? Yeah, we're at picture lock, yay! That's a really big deal. So that's a good thing. That means now that other than the CGI shots, nothing live action is going to change. So that's done. So that's really handy. And it also means we've eliminated a lot of shots now we're not going to use. So by doing that, we can basically get very categoric about each scene. In fact, it's not even each scene now. I've reduced the project files, the edit files, into what are called beats, which I've mentioned before. Those beats are now, we have one project file, one edit for each of those beats. There's 11 project files. And basically, we just look at each project file as an entity and then start from the beginning all the way through and just have a long list of everything for that project file. And that has made life a lot more easy in terms of not blowing your brains out with a million different things to worry about. You're just worrying about one, 11-minute or so, between 9 and 11 minutes beat, and that's it. So I suppose it's like 11 film shorts, well, not quite, probably film shorts are about 20 minutes, but certainly small projects, and we just have to think about that project, not a whole movie. And then once we're sort of 90% of complete of each of those, that's when we start bringing them in together, and then we'll probably turn it into acts. So it'll probably be 3 projects, and then ultimately it'll become one big project. Although it's more likely that in reality that we won't actually have one long project file, because an hour and 45 minutes for a movie with that level of intensity is going to be hard for any computer to worry about. So it's more likely that they'll stay in the 3 acts, but we'll assess it as a single piece. So yeah, lots of back to the sort of planning stage again. It's been the last sort of few weeks has been about getting the drift ready, me working on the sounds, not just sound effects, but dubbing and the ADR, and that's all coming together nicely as well. So we've got sort of 2 more weeks now of just basically getting our house in order, ready for compositing and stuff, which will probably start in the new year. So yeah, all things are looking really cool. I can do some more sounds now. That's the sound of drinking a cup of tea. I get a slurping noise. Yeah, it could be for one of the people inside the drift. Have to wait and see.